Almost everybody has it in their head that they'd be built different in a zombie apocalypse. People think they're going to be calm, tactical geniuses, the stoic survivor, the guy who somehow turns into the Navy SEAL because the world fell apart. They're the type of people who've never thrown a fist in their life, but assume they can fight because they see red when they're mad. But here's the truth. Most people don't die because of zombies, they die because they're soft, scared, loud, overly confident, and wrong about everything that actually matters. So today we're going through the biggest lies people tell themselves about surviving a zombie outbreak. Not the cute Hollywood myths, the ugly ones. The ones that get people killed before they even leave their driveway. Now let's break down everything people get wrong about zombie outbreaks. The first lie is simple. You think you're built for this. People think they'll rise to the challenge. But reality is, people can't stay calm during a kitchen fire or a minor car accident. When the undead enter the equation, your body reacts the same way it reacts to any life-threatening event. Your hands shake, your breathing spikes, your vision narrows, and suddenly you're trying to start your car with your house key. Calm people survive, but most people aren't calm. And this is before we even talk about what you're going to encounter out there. Because seeing a zombie from a distance is one thing. Watching someone you know get dragged down or torn apart is completely different. The sound alone breaks people. Trauma shuts the brain down. People freeze, cry, or mentally shut off. Once you break mentally in an apocalypse, you rarely recover. And that's just the mental side. Now your senses start to turn against you. Walking corpses in the summer heat create a smell you can't imagine. Rotting bodies, burned remains, animal corpses, and sewage mixed together in a wall of stink that overwhelms your senses. People gag, lose focus, and make mistakes because their bodies can't handle non-stop decay. And the smell isn't just coming from the undead. No showers, no clean clothes, and no deodorant slowly turn you into a walking biohazard. You'll smell like sweat, dirt, fear, and stress. Everyone around you is going to smell the same. There is no clean air, only slightly less disgusting air. At the same time, the world is getting more violent, and you keep telling yourself you can handle that part too. Most people can't even gut a fish without gagging. Breaking skulls is far more intense. It's messy, loud, exhausting, and mentally damaging. You feel bone, hear cracking, and see what's left behind. The moment you hesitate, the undead can close the gap, and that's while you're still fed and rested. Real hunger makes you dizzy and short-tempered. Extreme fatigue makes you sloppy. Fear drains your mental stamina. When you combine all three, you stop making smart decisions and start making lethal ones. You snap at people, forget simple steps, and miss obvious danger. But somehow people still think that in the middle of all that, they suddenly turn into an action hero. Hitting targets at range is easy. Hitting targets when your hands shake and your ears are full of screaming is what matters. Most people's aim will go to shit when pressure's on them, and melee weapons demand strength and stamina. Swing an axe 5 times with real fear in your system and your arms turn to jelly. And remember, you're not doing this alone in a vacuum. You're doing it with other people who are just as broken as you. People always say, me and the boys could survive anything. In reality, all it takes is one person panicking, arguing, hoarding supplies, refusing orders, or trying to take control. Old grudges come back, new jealousies show up, and trust falls apart. Groups usually collapse long before zombies reach them. And if the apocalypse doesn't break your friendship, it goes after the people you care about the most, in a different way. All of those earlier points get worse when emotions get involved. People claim they put down an infected loved one, but emotion beats logic almost every single time. Plenty of people can't even put down a suffering pet. Putting down a partner, parent, or a child is almost impossible for the average person. Most will freeze, deny reality, or act too late. That delay is all it takes to turn one bite into a full group wipe. So the first pillar is all about overestimating yourself. You think you'll be calm, brave, and ruthless when you need to be, but the odds say you won't. Now flip it. The next problem is the exact opposite. You underestimate everything around you, and nothing is more dangerous than underestimating the world itself. People imagine the undead are the main threat. They're wrong. The world itself starts trying to kill you in ways most people never think about. Once the grid fails, the world goes dark in a way most people have never experienced. Streetlights, store signs, and glowing windows disappear. Your phone lights turn into a beacon that give away your position. Every shadow becomes a potential threat, and every noise becomes a warning. You can't see where to step, what you're stepping on, or what's standing 10 feet away. And that's just at night. The buildings you hide in aren't safe either. Abandoned structures will turn toxic. Pipes burst, sewage backs up, food rots in place, and mold creeps over walls and ceilings. Stagnant water collects in basements and lower floors. People get sick from the air and the surfaces long before zombies ever reach them. And if the structure doesn't get you, the local wildlife is more than happy to help. Animals get bold when humans disappear. Rodents chew through supplies. Stray dogs come from packs and start hunting anything that looks weak. Ticks carry infection. Mosquitoes breed in every puddle of stagnant standing water. Nature doesn't care about your apocalypse fantasy. It just sees you as another stressed animal on the edge. On top of that, the entire world is a giant fire hazard that no one is putting out anymore. Fires that used to be minor incidents turn into city killers. A knocked over candle, a cooking mistake, or one idiot with a lighter can wipe out an entire block. And there are no fire trucks coming, no water pressure in the hydrants, and no organized response. Smoke inhalation and carbon monoxide quietly kill people long before the flames reach them. And fire is just one kind of disaster. The rest of the planet will keep throwing other problems at you. Floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, and wildfires won't take a break just because zombies showed up. Without weather alerts, emergency broadcasts, or evacuations, these hit with almost no warning. You get flooded in, crushed, burned, or stranded, and no one's coming to pull you out. Even the buildings that survived might be lying to you. And what I mean by that is weak floors, rotten beams, and unstable roofs in abandoned buildings that are quiet death traps. One wrong step can send you through a floor or collapse a stairwell. A broken leg or a crushed foot is a slow, painful death sentence in a world where you can't rest or get proper medical care. And while you're trying to move carefully, you still need basic things like water, which people also manage to get wrong. Drinking untreated river, lake, or puddle water leads to parasites, infections, and brutal stomach issues that leave you weak, dehydrated, and barely able to move. Diarrhea and vomiting in a zombie apocalypse are not just miserable, they're lethal. Other than the world trying to kill you, now we're on to the next problem. You still think your gear, your meds, and your food will keep working like they did at the start of the outbreak. Some people imagine stores, medicine, food, and tools staying stable and usable forever. Reality does not care about your assumptions. Prescription meds for things like blood pressure, seizures, and mental health run out pretty quick. Pharmacies turn into early war zones. And after all that, there are no refills. Even if you manage to stay healthy for a while, small problems become big ones pretty quick. If you lose your glasses, your survival odds drop overnight. Contacts can also dry out, get contaminated, and lead to eye infections. A cracked tooth or a simple cavity is annoying today. In the apocalypse, it can kill you. Untreated tooth infections spread to the jaw, then to the bloodstream. Once that happens, you get a fever, pain, and sepsis. Modern dental care stops that chain. The apocalypse doesn't. But to be fair, I've known people with rotten teeth in their mouth for years, so who knows? Maybe you'll be fine. But that's just one example of something people almost never plan for. There's an entire category most apocalypse fantasies pretend doesn't exist. And that's feminine hygiene. You don't hear that brought up often or at all. Pads and tampons run out fast. Improvised solutions made from a dirty cloth or random materials can lead to infections and skin issues. Women in your group are dealing with problems most survival plans never mention. And if you ignore it, you're gambling with their health and your group's stability. And at the same time, your food situation is starting to fall apart. Once the power dies, your fridge and freezer turn into ticking time bombs. Meat, dairy, and leftovers all spoil quickly. The line between edible and what'll hospitalize you gets razor thin. Your kitchen goes from a place you store food to a place full of biohazard material. To make things worse, the tools you use to cook and stay warm also paint a target on your back. Fire creates smoke, smell, and light. In a dead world, all of that stands out. A cooking fire or a burn pile might keep you alive in the short term, but it broadcasts your position to desperate survivors and raiders who are listening for any sign of life. And if they don't find you, your next problem is your own vehicle. Gasoline doesn't stay good forever. It starts to go bad within months, especially if stored wrong. Gasoline typically has a shelf life of 3 to 6 months when stored under ideal conditions. However, diesel is good for 6 to 12 months under normal storage conditions. That being said, eventually engines begin to run rough, then fail completely. And without a mechanic in your group or the ability to fix it yourself, you'll have to say goodbye to your vehicle. On the bright side, there shouldn't be a shortage of them, assuming their keys aren't shambling around in somebody's pocket. But yeah, vehicles need maintenance, spare parts, and someone who actually knows how to work on them. Belts snap, tires shred, batteries die, and small problems cascade into major failures. Unfortunately, most people don't even know how to change their own oil or swap a tire. And to make matters worse, the stuff that used to keep you alive when you got sick is all starting to disappear. Insulin needs refrigeration, inhalers run out, antibiotics lose potency, painkillers disappear, life-saving medication becomes impossible to replace, and once the existing stock is gone or spoiled, even minor infections can end you. And when medicine is scarce and supplies are shrinking, people stop trading and start fighting. People imagine quietly looting empty stores and houses. In reality, every good spot gets hit early and hard. The more desperate things get, the more every scavenging run looks like an ambush waiting to happen. You're not the only one who needs food and batteries. Other survivors have the same idea, and some of them will kill you for it. And all of that is still the short term. Once the supplies are gone and the easy wins dry up, you hit the part of the apocalypse almost nobody actually thinks through. The long term. Surviving for a week is nothing like surviving for a year. Long term is where most people break. Some people just like to say they'll start a little farm, but seeds don't create food on demand. Crops fail, pests destroy fields, and soil quality matters. You need tools, knowledge, and time. People starve long before their first harvest if they don't already have food stashed away. And farming is hard work with good tools. Without them, it gets even worse. Knives dull, axe handles crack, and saw teeth bend. Sharpening tools takes skill and the right gear. Replacing tools takes manufacturing you no longer have. Every lost hammer, broken shovel, or ruined blade hurts long-term survival more than people think. So people turn to hunting and trapping to fill the gap, and that has its own problems. Improper handling meat leads to parasites and infections. Assuming you could even get your hands on any. Most people can't hunt or trap. Undercooked game gives you worms or food poisoning. Some wild animals have parasites, and one mistake during butchering or cooking can leave you vomiting, feverish, and too weak to defend yourself. Food poisoning is a hell of a thing. When you're shooting liquid out the back and the front end, things start to look bleak. And while all this is happening, life keeps going on in other ways too. Without prenatal care, sterile environments, or antibiotics, pregnancy and childbirth becomes life-threatening. Complications that are minor today, like high blood pressure or stalled labor, can kill the mother, the baby, or both. Every pregnancy becomes a huge medical risk for the group. On top of that, the world itself isn't done trying to kill you quietly. Extreme heat and cold both hit harder than people expect. Without climate control, people die from heat stroke in summer and hypothermia in winter. Elderly people, kids, and anyone already weakened by hunger or illness are even more in danger. Depending on the season, shelter without proper temperature control is still not safety. And while human systems are failing, man-made threats are failing in a much worse way. Nuclear power plants are built with layers of safety systems and trained staff, but they still need constant cooling, power, and supervision. Some reactors would shut down safely if the grid went out, but any site that loses cooling long enough, whether at the reactors or in spent fuel pools, risk leaks, partial meltdowns, or releases that never get fully contained. Even a managed accident can contaminate rivers, coastlines, and farmland for decades. Radiation doesn't care about your bug-out location. It rides the wind, water, and food chains, turning unlucky regions into long-term danger zones. At the same time, the natural world is rearranging itself, and you're not at the top of the food chain anymore. As cities empty and noise levels drop, predators and large animals start moving into new territory. Wolves, big cats, and large packs of dogs begin treating suburbs and small towns like their new hunting grounds. Food chains warp, and humans become just another source of calories. And while you're trying to dodge predators and radiation, humans keep making the same predictable mistake. They keep going to places that seem safe in theory. The mountains, the woods, hospitals, malls, and military bases. The problem is everyone has the same idea. Those locations become overcrowded, stripped of resources, and full of desperate people. Disease spreads, power struggles start, and one breach turns the whole place into a mass casualty event. Even if you manage to avoid all of that, time still grinds people down. Isolation, paranoia, nightmares, and constant stress slowly erode your sanity. You start arguing over nothing, losing track of days, and replaying memories of the world you lost. Some people shut down, others snap and become a threat to everyone around them. The human brain was not built to live on non-stop survival mode. Zombies are predictable, people aren't. Neither is the environment. Everything people get wrong about zombie apocalypses come from the same mistakes. They think the apocalypse is a movie. They think they get a training arc. They think they'll rise to the challenge when it matters. But the real world is colder, harsher, filthier, and more unforgiving than that. Zombies aren't what inhumanity, ignorance is. If you want to survive, the first step is simple. Stop believing in the fantasy version of yourself and start understanding what you're really up against. Alright guys, if you made it to the end, I appreciate that as always, and you probably noticed my voice sounded a little bit off today. I unfortunately caught a cold, so I'm actually going to try and record a couple of videos before it progresses into something worse. Anyway, if you didn't know, I have a Discord server. If you wanted to go make some friends and speak to like-minded individuals, that's a place you can go do that. And if you don't care about that, I have a gaming channel. Perhaps if you enjoy watching Let's Plays, you can catch me over there. I post sometimes. And a quick thank you to all my Patreon and YouTube members. I appreciate you guys very much.